One of the themes that's always fascinated me has been how little people fit into the big picture, how little places fit into the universal cosmic drama that God is unfolding. Here I'm standing by the grave of a man who's the most decorated soldier in the British Army, Sir George White. Isn't it fascinating how a man whose family roots here were in a little mid-Antrim village called Broughshane, would go on to world fame? His military career, spanning many years, took him from family roots in Broughshane through India to Burma to the West Indies. He ended up actually as governor of Gibraltar. But at the height of his career in 1899, he became famous for his participation in the Battle of Ladysmith, South Africa, in the Boer War. What absolutely fascinates me is how someone with such local and parochial beginnings should end up on the international map, the world map of history. It raises this tantalizing question: how do little people fit in to the big picture? One of the things that makes the Bible a truly compelling book is this capacity to actually link the individual to the universal. For instance, in this book that spans from Genesis to Revelation, from creation to the new creation, there's a place for a little servant girl in a Syrian general's household. This is what makes the Bible different from, say, Greek mythology or Greek history, that's populated by mythic giants, heroes and heroines of superhuman proportions. In God's modus operandi, in God's big plan, you see, there's always a place for the local and the little people in something that's so much more universal. Slimish Mountain, it probably doesn't figure on the world's maps as one of the great mountain ranges, but it's a fascinating blip, as it were, on the landscape, because it was here St. Patrick tended his sheep. Patrick was probably born somewhere about 385, according to historians. No one can be absolutely precise. But the story seems to be quite clear that, born into a reasonably affluent background, he was then captured, brought across the Irish Sea, sold into slavery to a man called Milcou. It was on the slopes of Slemish that he served Milcou as a shepherd boy. Given his background, surely this must have been a veritable wilderness experience for the young boy Patrick, the teenager serving here in this literal wilderness to him. That makes me reflect, actually, on how often God works. He took Israel into the wilderness to teach them. He brought Patrick into a wilderness. It's as if he's saying, I want to clear away all the extraneous, and I want to teach you. So when we come back to the scriptures, we find he took Israel into the very depth of the Midbar. Just close your eyes for a moment. Use the back of your eyelid as a blackboard. M-I-D-B-A-R, Midbar. That's a Hebrew word meaning wilderness. And as the ancient rabbis, the ancient scholars, studied these words, they picked out the fact that within that word there was another word. The consonants D, B, and R give us the Hebrew word for dabar, or word. And so the rabbis used to say that God took Israel into the midbar to hear the dabar, a place where there was nothing extraneous, no diversions, a place where they would learn you'll not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. And just as God took Israel into the wilderness under the leadership of a shepherd, Moses, so, as it were, he brought Patrick to the slopes of this mountain. It would be here he would have a deep spiritual encounter. He would meet with God in a new way. He would develop a passion for this land and for these people. Can you imagine in the quietness that comes only in the wilderness? Maybe just listening in the quietness. Has that become something of a lost art today? Patrick must have had the occasion for many long, lonely hours on the side of the mountain. Long, lonely, dark nights. That idea of something bursting forth from the local, you see, it makes me think of a passage in the scripture that Jesus referred to. Now, this is tucked away in Matthew's Gospel. It's become quite a notorious little verse. It's very difficult to understand. Jesus says this, referring to John the Baptist. He says that from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven has been forcefully advancing, and forceful men, they lay hold of it. That is a difficult passage. You know, many scholars have expended a lot of energy and time trying to understand this. Let me tell you, if you had a choice to make today between a modern European scholar and a Galilean shepherd farmer to help you understand the Bible, it's a no-brainer. Go for the shepherd every time. Because it's that Galilean shepherd who would have known the scriptures, who could probably have pointed out to you that the background to this passage in the Gospel of Matthew actually lies in a verse in Micah. Listen to this verse, because it has a shepherd background. One who breaks open the way, this is Micah chapter 2, verse 13. One who breaks open the way will go up before them. They will break through the gate and go out. Their king will pass through before them. The Lord is at their head. See, that's actually a shepherding image, because during the night the shepherd would have closed up, penned in his sheep. They would have been safe for the night, but in the morning he would remove the gate, take away the branches or whatever was blocking the way, and there literally would just be an eruption. The flock would force its way out. And that's exactly the picture Jesus is drawing, that the kingdom is something that bursts out. It erupts. Wouldn't it be a travesty if we ended up with the church that's become like Cinderella with amnesia? When in actual fact, you and I have the opportunity, no matter where we are, no matter how small we feel, to be part of this incredible universal enterprise, where God may take the individual to really participate in a world vision, to move from the particular to the universal. Patrick on the mountain touched this land, touched world history. George White started in this village, made an impact in world military history. A Galilean carpenter who was also a cosmic lord. What a wonderful opportunity to explore this kind of divine modus operandi where you and me can be the individuals whom God can use to shape a much bigger picture.